Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Herod the Tetrarch heard all that was happening, and he was greatly perplexed, because some were saying, John has been raised from the dead. Others were saying, Elijah has appeared. Still others, one of the ancient prophets has arisen. But Herod said, John I beheaded. Who then is this about whom I hear such things? And he kept trying to see him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Herod kept trying to see Jesus, but he didn't get it. We're told later in the Gospel of Luke that he was even trying to kill Jesus. And then still later in the Gospel of Luke, he is standing in front of Jesus, and Herod wants to see somebody perform miracles, but he's not looking for miracles. He wants to see magic tricks, and he still can't see. What's his problem? He's a murderer. He has John the Baptist beheaded. And he's a murderer because he's so filled with self-interest he can't see outside of himself. Did you ever meet a person like that? They're so full of themselves that they don't notice anybody else in the room, except when they walk by a mirror. They can't see. And here is Herod. And yet, the Gospel of Matthew tells us in the Beatitudes, blessed are the clean of heart, they will see God. And the Psalms tell us the same thing. Psalm 24, blessed are the pure of heart. They'll behold the face of God, we're told. And before the pure of heart, it says, the gates are lifted to the temple. In other words, the pure of heart have this access to God. The gates are literally lifted. And the psalmist says, lift high your head, those of you who are pure of heart. Lift high your head and look, he's letting you see him. As if the doors of the tabernacle are thrown open and you can look and you can see no longer bread, but you see Jesus. You see him. You perceive him. You feel him. There he is, Jesus. Because the clean of heart. The clean of heart are that way because they are sculpted by God. Their heart is literally sculpted. It's rooted out of all types of blockages. And that comes from, first of all, being dedicated to prayer. Someone who's dedicated to prayer is going to be generous. It's a generous effort to take time to pray. One of the biggest excuses to prayer that I hear from people, I don't have time. You have time for Facebook. You have time for soap operas. You have time for your favorite shows at night, but you don't have time for prayer because there's a generosity toward me, but there's no generosity toward God. And the generosity toward God begins to open up the heart. that says, I'm not as important as he is. Now my heart becomes pure because I'm no longer selfish. I'm becoming selfless in the same way as Jesus on the cross does everything for the sake of the Father, caring nothing for the shame he endures on himself for our sake and the sins of the world. Prayer then fashions us in generosity. That's what it does. And then the sacrament of reconciliation takes prayer to another level where we dare to enter into the squalor of our heart and let God see it so that we can look at him with a straight face and a clear conscience and see. This is the type of crafting that's done when a person wants to generously give themselves to God. It's interesting that Psalm 24 also talks about the person who can see God is free of idols. And usually the idol, the biggest idol in the way, the very biggest idol in the way is the anti-Trinity, me, myself, and I. Another impasse is, it says someone who takes false oaths, basically a liar. Perhaps I would say lying is in the top most confessed sins, top 10 most confessed sins in the confessional, lying. And we so easily compromise that one. Well, I had a good reason for lying. A lie is a lie. And there's no good reason for lying. Especially when you consider that the evil one is the father of lies. And so lies open our eyes to see the evil one, but they may not open our eyes to see the Father of all mercy. And so Herod can't see. He's not pure of heart. However, you may be pure of heart. You receive the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus. Cleansing from the inside out. And I pray that that would not be just a ritual act for you, but an act of receiving him who cleanses us interiorly and fashions us into generous souls.
Regina Celi, letare